Right, so it's the start of another video, and now the left hand side is done, it's time to start cracking on with the right hand side. So as you can see, I've already swapped it around, reorganised the garage, so it's a bit easier to work on with this way round. So this is definitely the worst of the two sides. So yeah, that looks very sad. I think we might end up repairing a bit more on this side, but hopefully not too much more. So yeah, there's definitely more faults, but I think we'll tackle this slightly differently as well. So I think whilst it's up on its side, I'll repair kind of probably up to like here back, and then when I tackle this wheel tub, I'm going to get back down off axle stands and just lift the front end up, take the weight off both strut tops, and just tackle this corner as one separate bit. Because obviously there's that bit in there, a bit more down there. So yeah, definitely the worst of the two sides. Yeah, we'll try and make things work as smooth as they can. So I've only got a short time in here tonight, so whilst I've got a very short amount of time, I think I'm going to try and do the large bit of cutting around the perimeters of the big panels, and just try and get these large sections off and expose what I can before it gets too late. So on we go.
Everything that happens is motivation. Everything that happens is motivation. I regard the work of motivation the most important work in the history of man. Everything that happens is motivation.
Right, so quick little session, just removing some of the bigger stuff down the right hand rear end. I cut the main length of the back panel as well. I just need to whip across the support on the inside of the boot. So it's a bit smoky now. So yeah, so again, got all that off, got all this off, and it's not really illuminated much else, sort of that I already didn't know about, but so as you can see, it's very sad. So yeah, bit more digging around. I imagine I won't be able to do any as of tomorrow, but at the weekend, whenever I get a spare minute, I'll strip off all the rest of this that I don't need, and possibly start looking at all this bit. So I've already got my line pre-drawn from when I did marked out the other side. So yeah, not too bad for a short stint for tonight, but now it is later than I'd like to start or to carry on cutting and stuff. So again, nip that off. Best way to get that laid down. So quick clean up for tonight, and crack back on with this on another day. So stay tuned. Right, so it's another day, a little bit of a later start tonight. So I'm just going to try and crack on, try and get some of the inner structure stripped away tonight, and just try and get as close to a flat side as we can, because so we can start getting to the nitty gritty and start fixing stuff. Like I said, this side I'm only going to work up to the sort of probably the start of the wheel tub at the front. So yeah, tackle the front at a different occasion.
Everything that happens is motivation.
Right, so that's the end of another day. I got a fair bit done, a fair bit exposed, so made plenty of mess, and yet more mess to come. So I think that'll just clean up, same as the other side did. Obviously, strip all that down, and I've got plenty of faith a lot of it will clean up. However, that's much crustier this side than it was the other side, but I don't mind just trimming that down. Similar story on this side. Well, so far, we'll see what happens when I uncover that side. But yeah, this is about the same as it was on the other side. Bit missing there. However, that's still attached on this side. A little bit of scabbing throughout, and then same as was on the other side. Cut all this off, replace it, and it's actually a similar body line as well. So I think it's just innate in its characteristics. You know, both sides designed the same, so they both rock the same. But I think this has just not had a patch over it, so it's just been left to rust with its own devices. So far, nothing to panic about. I reckon that probably won't replace in, same as the other side. I think it'll be a like-for-like situation. I just think this end might be a bit more of an issue. So that's been jacked off a few times. We'll see what happens. I've spoke to someone down south. He's quite possibly going to be cutting me off a full corner, an MX5, so that way I can use that to generate patches and whatnot, and figure out how we're going to fix this corner. But say that's a problem for another phase. That'll be it for tonight. I'll give it a quick clean up and have a good little reset for the next bit, which I think most likely will be, again, taking off that front section of the sills. At least I kind of know what it looks like behind there now, instead of just hacking at it willy-nilly. Yeah, I think I'll tackle it similar how I did last time, but with just a bit more confidence in what's going on. I was expecting a lot worse for this side, so somewhat pleasantly surprised. Right, so once again, a little bit of a later start, but tonight, try and get that off. So yeah, and then that will pretty much be everything out of the way. Assess everything properly then, and yeah, work out a plan from there.
Everything that happens is motivation. I regard the work of motivation the most important work in the history of man. Everything that happens is motivation.
Right, so that's it for another day. Yeah, we're about the point that I wanted to get to for the end of today. One small little bit that I need to get off, but that I can wait for another day. It got too late by the time I got to it for cutting that off. So you can see all that's off. That again, about as bad as it was. The other side, about the same as it was. It's kind of just a bit worse, just in between where it wanted replacing there on the other side and inside there. Obviously that section's worse than it was the other side. Yeah, about what I expected. That's the bit I'll take off next time I'm in here. Again, probably cut it somewhere along here, probably just about in there, and then I might end up having to remake that bottom section, see if I can work it into where it starts to then bows out. Yeah, again, that's hard about what it was. And then on this panel, I'd probably say this panel is, depending on how it cleans up, mainly in there, I think it's pretty much like for like what the other side was like. Obviously that bit's still attached on this side, but yeah, all that will clean up, I reckon, same as the other side did. It'll mainly come down to that. Whether that cleans up alright, or we end up repairing it like we did the other side. But even then, I don't think it'll even go as far as the other side. So we'll see what it's like when I clean it up. But yeah, got to where I wanted to be, and then obviously clean up all the spot welds like I did on the other side. In fact, I think the only bit, if I look in my pile of scrap, that was any worse was a section up top. So where that came off, yeah, it was all corroded there for some reason. So for whatever reason, that corroded very nicely in there. Yeah, my pile of tin to go out, confetti that I've made that hurts. Yeah. So once again, I'll have a clean up. Tomorrow will be a day off. Spend some time in the house, shave my face. Yeah, I think it might be about the last time I'm in here this week. So I've got I've got tomorrow off. Thursday, I've got a regular sort of thing to get to. And then this weekend, we're at the Petrol Hedonism 2025 live event for the weekend. I can do the meet and greet with Dave Kindig. So yeah, I won't be here with doing this at the weekend. So we'll probably start afresh. Start doing the metal work next week. Yeah, have a bit of R&R. Right, so it's a little while since I last recorded. Last time was obviously pre-Petrol Hedonism, but unfortunately a little while's gone since then. I've had a hectic little period. Some stuff broke in the house that needed replacing, repairing. Had to get a new car. So it's been a busy time outside of the garage, unfortunately. But I'll catch you up on what I've done to the car in that meantime, as well as a few little improvements and changes I've made in the garage itself. So as you can see, same as last time, obviously stripped all that off, but in the meantime, in regards to the car, I've cleaned up all this bit under here, cleaned up and aerosoled inside that wheel tub, around that back section, similar to what I did on the other side, and cleaned up to kind of where it gets bad there, around the floor. So that's kind of what I've done for the car. Now everything, obviously here up to there, and obviously including that bit, is pretty much identical to what the other side was. But in regards to the front tub, front wheel arch, I made the executive decision that on my travels to St Albans to go to the event, I had a query about if anyone had basically this full corner of the car that someone would be able to cut out for me. And one chap kindly obliged. Yeah, in there I've managed to get a full front corner that I can use for transplanting that patch in all the way down the bottom there. I think during this sort of metal phase, I'm going to come up probably to about there and stop that sort of area of rust repairs, and then I'll tackle there above when I get the car just up in its front, drop some of the suspension out, radiator, all the wiring pushed through, and then I've picked up some more box section that I can create like a frame jig just to make sure the strut top, anti-roll bar fixings, and the radiator mounting points stay where I need them to. And again, I think I'll end up sort of replacing there upwards all the way around, probably down to there. Yeah, I'll have a better look once all this stuff's out of the way, and I can investigate if there's anything further that needs changing as well. But I'd like to keep this and where it's flatter kind of how it is, and then to replace around it. So I think that might be how I'm going to attack that front corner. It's a shame it couldn't have stayed as rust free as the passenger side, but you know, such is life. So yeah, that's the current state of the car. But a few of the garage changes I've made are I had to get a new vice, as the swivel feature on my smaller one, it just gave out and it was just all over the shop. So that one scrapped out. Picked up that record number 3, really nice condition, moves nicely, not much bigger, but it seems more sturdy. So that's that. However, I did, these popped up for sale. It's quite close to me. A guy was selling 85 Clecos along with 2 edge ones and the grips for 50 quid. So it was too cheap for me to turn up. And then whilst I was there, it was a classic case of, what else have you got? Pick this up. Again, lightly used. I think a lot of the patina, so to speak, has come from just storing in a shed. I think it's just found whatever steel it can, but moves nice. I've tested it, cut sheet metal easily, cleanly. And he also had, again, a fairly lightly used Metz shrinker, £50, and again, comes with the stretcher. So I think for £110, all of that stuff, not bad. And whilst I was at Petrol Hedonism, I bought this lovely option drift deep dish steering wheel, quite plain, quite simple, black on black. I didn't want the suede because I know they go a bit funny with use. So went for the nice leather, bit of a classic look, and I got Dave to sign one of the spokes, and I think I'll put a little bit of PPF along that bit just to protect that. But the steering wheel feels really nice and strong, so yeah, that would be kind of like a symbolic finishing item to the build. So when that bit's on, like properly, it will be kind of a signifier to say it's the end, at least for the main phase. Obviously, being a project, they're never finished. So yeah, I'm going to have that as like a little finishing touch to say that the grand idea is where I want it to be. So yeah, but buying all these extra tools, I came to the realisation that I had nowhere to really mount them, and I didn't want to start just chucking holes all over the top of my toolbox. It's just going to let all sorts of stuff fall into the drawers. So even though square footage is at a very high premium in this garage, being so small, I was able to make this workbench out of an old bit of racking I had set in the shed, and 2 bits of offcuts of scaffold. So at least it's not too big that it takes up every bit of space that I have. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, and it's light enough that I can move around fairly easily. I think the last change I've made is obviously the folder that I showed you previously that I used for the left-hand side. It worked well enough, but I found that when I clamped the sheets, as I folded them over, they kind of stayed flush where the clamps were, but as it folded out, it kind of sent the shapes a bit iffy. So I just welded a nut onto the back of the one that was on there, fixed it back in, and just put an M6 or an M8 bolt in, so at least I can nip it up, make it tight, and then should stay a lot more uniform when I'm folding it over. So yeah, I think that'll be end of this video. Just wanted to sort of round things off for the time that I've been kind of out of commission doing other stuff. So yeah, we'll call it here. I'm going to head back inside, list the Golf for sale. I'd rather someone buys it and make something out of it than me just send it to scrap. So yeah, so that's the plan for now. And then next video, we'll start cutting stuff out, making obviously sections to go back in. Lucky enough, I can use a lot of the templates from the left-hand side for the sills. And yeah, at least I've got the front corner to cut pieces out of and don't have to worry about trying to make bits to fit, because they've already been made to fit by Mazda themselves. So yeah, that's where we're at. So yeah, see you in the next video.
Check it out.